Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Let's Be Honest with Peter Kozodoy. Today, I have an incredibly special guest, Miriam Schulman, who's the founder of The Inspiration Place and an artist in her own right. Miriam, thanks for being on the show today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Peter. It's so exciting.
Of course, it's my pleasure. So, right off the bat, for people who may not be familiar with you and your work, take 3 to 4 minutes, tell everyone who you are, what you do, and what gets you inspired.
Sure. Well, I am a full-time artist. I teach people how to paint and also sell their art. And I haven't always been an artist. I left the hedge fund world back when my hedge fund famously exploded in 98. And after 9/11, I decided I was never, ever going back to that world. So that's basically my 3-minute, my journey story for you from Wall Street to artist.
I love it. That's actually more common than you might think. I have a friend who used to work on Wall Street as a bond trader, now as a firefighter. So it happens.
Yeah.
And that's great because now people get to experience your art. So the show's Let's Be Honest. So we want to get into your story a bit more. Take us back, Miriam, to a time when you had to get brutally honest with yourself. And maybe let's pick one other than the one you just shared with us about your transformation into an artist. Tell us what was the situation, what did you do, and what happened next?
Yeah, well, what I'm grappling with actually most recently is after the death of George Floyd and with the beginnings of, really what's still going on now with the Black Lives Matter movement, what I had to come to terms with is my brand and my community. I was taking a look at it very early on in June and how quiet everybody was in my community. And that made me really have to come to terms with how I was showing up, that I hadn't been as vocal about my own viewpoints as a leader. And so that is something I'm trying to step into more, which is the perfect topic for this show. And to me, it's more about not that I was being dishonest, but I was only showing some parts of myself and not all parts of myself, and stepping more into a more authentic version of myself that is going to turn some people away and maybe attract others. So that's something that I'm grappling with right now, is really trying to come to terms with what my internal values are, which I know what they are, but making them more explicit so people really know what I stand for.
Thank you for sharing that, Miriam, because so many right now don't know what to say. For those of you listening to this, who knows when? I mean, we're like in the middle of 2020 right now, everything that's going on, and racial injustice being a big one of them. And many people are afraid to say anything really because of the vitriol that we're experiencing in society right now. So I think the point you bring up is this is a time for self-exploration as individuals, self-exploration as a society. And as I write about in my book over and over again, it really does come back to getting honest about our core values and what we believe. And one of the things I think we miss as a society is that we all believe in the same thing, having a good life for ourselves, for our loved ones. There's actually a lot of commonality. Somehow we've forgotten that. But for any of us who are pretending that so many walk around with, hate in their hearts, I just really don't think that's true. And I think we need to look past that to understand that, to be honest, people are doing and thinking and feeling what they think is in their best interest. And I think we can come to that sort of understanding, we may have some more common ground. So, thank you for sharing that you're exploring that this is the time to explore it for sure. Over the course of your career, you've obviously gone, swung from hedge fund, massive profitability to, artist, right? So what, looking back, are you most proud of? And then share with us what you are perhaps least proud of.
Well, I'm most proud of that I started my podcast. So I started that in 2018 because this has been such an important part of my sharing my voice and my story. And it's going to be a greater instrument as I evolved into this, as we're all evolved. I really believe the purpose of life is to evolve into that better version of ourselves.
100%.
And it's just really the best thing that I've ever done, not just for my community, for my business, but also for me personally, to just really help me share that evolution with everybody and let them come along with that journey. So I kind of forgot the question now. What was the
and
question
then
again?
and then what are you perhaps least proud of? What comes to mind?
um, that's a tough one. I don't think it's a question of least proud. It's more of because I don't like to live in the world of woulda, coulda, shouldas. I'm more like, okay, this is what happened. This may not have been what I would choose for myself now, but to go back in time, I don't know what I know now back then. So it's really hard to judge something. That's why I always like to say we never know if we made the right decision, because we only really know the outcome of the decision we actually did make. We really don't know the outcome of what the decision would have been had we gone a different path.
Yeah, that's right. I was doing one of these interviews maybe a month ago, and the person I was interviewing was like, "For all I know, if I had taken path B, I would have gotten hit by a bus, and that would have been that."
Right.
You just don't know, and I love that. So yeah, it's totally true, Miriam. No, this is a very interesting question because I've asked it in a variety of ways. Do you have any regrets? And people go like, "I don't regret that word." Things you're least proud of. Some people answer. Some people are like, "Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's like life goes on, and I'm not quite sure."
I mean, I can remember what I'm mad about myself from yesterday, but like I move on.
Yeah.
So it's hard to hold on to negative feelings because it's kind of like holding on to a piece of hot coal.
Hmm.
You're going to get burned.
Hmm.
So I always believe like let go of that and don't carry that with you.
And that I think is the message, right?
Yeah.
Is we all have a choice. And I talk about this a lot on the show. Like, let's be honest about what choices we have, the things we can control, the things we can't control. One of the few things in life we can control is letting go of that hot coal. Would you agree?
Right. Yeah. I mean, what we have most control of our future. What we have the least control of is what we've done.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Miriam, I'm going to throw a flyer at you that's not on the list, but talk to us about the role that honesty plays in creating art.
That's a great question. I think with a lot of artists, some people we have different awarenesses of how much we're showing up on if you're paint or on the canvas. And the truth is that it's all there, even the things about yourself that you may not have come to terms with. So if you have emotions that you've pushed all the way down, they come out. So art is a place where you can't really hide from yourself, that things are going to come out. So, I mean, when you reach a certain stage, that is the way that you're going to start processing your emotions. And even they find, like with art therapy, that's why it's so effective with people who have no training in art, that therapists are able to uncover truths that people have about themselves that they don't even know. They're able to, like, as you like to talk about in your book, this is a great way for people to uncover blind spots that they might have about themselves.
And I don't know if you would agree with this, but I find writing to have that similar effect on me. As I like to say about honest to greatness, I edited the book and the book edited me. I really felt that. So
that's true. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, most forms of art, it's going to do that. It's going to find a way to, give an honest expression of yourself.
And so for people out there, I think maybe you'll agree, find some outlet, painting, finger painting, writing. What else can people try that's easy?
Well, I do teach art journaling. That's one of the expressions that I think is very accessible to people who do want to express themselves visually. Somebody who I recently actually this is live, right? Today on the podcast, I have a therapist on the podcast who's a visual journaler, and she works with people who have gone through trauma to help heal themselves and uncover that. And that is a very accessible way. You don't have to be a trained artist to do visual journaling.
I love that. So where can people find out more about you, about visual journaling, everything you do, and follow along?
Well, the best way to find me is on my podcast. It's The Inspiration Place. It's on all the major podcast apps, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, ones I forgot exist. So yeah, The Inspiration Place.
Okay, wonderful. Well, Miriam, thank you so much. One of the great things about Let's Be Honest is everyone gets to see, from like CEOs to business coaches to performance leaders to artists. I mean, honesty really transcends the entire spectrum. I like to remind people, without being honest, everything else you do or think or believe is built on a foundation of BS. That has to start with being honest with yourself. So I think, through your story, you've certainly shown that. For folks listening out there, go look up The Inspiration Place, follow along with Miriam and everything she's doing. And if you have not gotten your copy of Honest to Greatness yet, it is available everywhere books are sold. I've been getting so many wonderful notes and feedback from many of you out there. So thank you. Miriam, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be here, Peter.
Pleasure was mine. And until next time, I'm Peter Kozodoy. Thanks for being honest.